Hello students. Today we are starting 7th chapter from your book Snapshots Birth, written by A.J. Cronin. Students, in this chapter we will read how a young doctor fulfills his duties, performs his duty, keeping aside his personal affairs. Although he was going through a very tough time, but keeping aside his own affairs, he fulfills his duty, he helps the woman in childbirth. So now let's start the chapter. In this excerpt from the Citadel, excerpt means extract from the Citadel. Citadel means this is the name of the novel written by A.J. Cronin. In this extract, Andrew Manson, newly out of medical school, has just begun his medical practice as an assistant to Dr. Edward Page in the small Welsh mining town of Blenheim. The main character of this chapter is Andrew Manson, and he has just now completed his medical study and he has begun his medical practice, and he is the assistant of Dr. Edward Page. And their hospital is in the small Welsh mining town of Blenheim. As he is returning from a disappointing evening with Christine, the girl he loves, he is met by Joe Morgan. Joe and his wife, who have been married nearly 20 years, are expecting their first child. One day, he was returning from disappointing evening with Christine. Means he had some affairs with Christine. It was very disappointing evening. It was a very tough time with Christine, his lover. He was coming back to his house, and on the way he meets Joe Morgan. Joe and his wife have been married nearly 20 years, but they are expecting their first child. So in this chapter we will read about Dr. Andrew Manson, how he helps Joe and his wife as they were expecting their first child. Though it was nearly midnight when Andrew reached Bringower, he found Joe Morgan waiting for him, walking up and down with short steps between the closed surgery and the entrance to the house. At the sight of him, the burly driller's face expressed relief. Burly means very fat. One day in the evening, when Andrew reached the Bringower, that is the address of his house, he found that Joe Morgan was waiting for him. He was walking up and down with short steps, and it was between the closed surgery. Surgery means the hospital where he treats the patients, and the entrance to the house. And as he saw the doctor, he became very much happy. Hey doctor, I am glad to see you. I've been back and forward here this last hour. The Mrs. wants ye before time too. Mrs. wants ye. Mrs. means he's talking here about his wife. Now as he sees the doctor, he says that I am very happy to see you, and I have been waiting for you here for an hour, as my wife wants you. It is before time, means now she is going to give birth to a child, and it is a premature baby. It is premature delivery of the woman. Andrew abruptly recalled from the contemplation of his own affairs, told Morgan to wait. But Andrew, at once, he started thinking about his own affairs, about Christine, but at the same time, he told Morgan to wait. He went into the house for his bag. Then together they set out for number 12 Blenheim Terrace. This is the address of Joe Morgan where he lives. Now, doctor went inside the house, he took his bag, and they both went to number 12 Blenheim Terrace. The night air was cool and deep with quiet mystery, usually so perceptive. Andrew now felt dull and listless. Listless means very tired. He had no premonition that this night call would prove unusual, still less that it would influence his whole future in Blenheim. Even Andrew was now very much tired. He was feeling very dull. He was feeling very much tired. But he had no premonition, he had no pre idea that this night call would prove unusual, still less that it would influence his whole future in Blanley. The Blanley where he is living now, the place where he is living, this night had made influence in his life. The two men walked in silence until they reached the door of number 12. Then Joe drew up short. As they both were walking in silence, but as they reached the door, as they reached the address where they had to go in the Joe Morgan's house, Joe drew up short. I'll not come in, he said, and his voice showed signs of strain. But man, I know you will do well for us. Strain means he was in tension. Now he stayed out of the house. He stayed at the entrance of the gate. But he said to doctor, he called him as man. But man, I know you will do well for us. He called the doctor as man. He told him that his voice was showing that he was in tension. He told doctor that I will not come inside, but I know that you will do very well for us. As he was very much confident upon doctor. Inside, a narrow stair led up to a small bedroom, clean but poorly furnished, and lit only by an oil lamp. Now, here in this line shows that the writer has described the house of Joe Morgan. He said here that his house was very small. There was a small bedroom, but it was very clean. It was neat and clean, but it was poorly furnished. There was not a good furniture, which shows that they were poverty stricken, and lit only by an oil lamp. Only oil lamp was burning there. Here, Mrs. Morgan's mother was also there. And then there is description of Mrs. Morgan's mother, a tall, grey-haired woman of nearly 70, and the stout means fat. Elderly midwife means nurse. There was also one more lady, that was the nurse. She was elderly midwife, waited beside the patient, watching Andrew's expression as he moved about the room. Now in the house which was very small house, two ladies were already sitting in the house. One was the mother of Mrs. Morgan, who was very tall, grey-haired woman, and she was about 70 years old. She was fat. And one more woman was there who was a nurse, and she was sitting beside the patient. Let me make you a cup of tea, Dr. Batch. Batch means, here this word has been used in respect of doctor. Dr. Batch, said the farmer quickly. Farmer means here the mother of Mrs. Morgan. After a few moments, as she saw the doctor has come inside the house, she told him that I'll bring a cup of tea for you. Andrew smiled faintly. He saw that the old woman, wise in experience, realized there must be a period of waiting, that she was afraid he would leave the case, saying he would return later. Now, as Mrs. Morgan's mother offered him a cup of tea, he started smiling as he thought that the old woman was looking very wise in experience. She might have realized that it may take time in childbirth, so she might be thinking that I would leave the case. So that's why she is offering me cup of tea. Don't fret, mother, I'll not run away. But doctor told him that don't take tension, mother, I will not run away, I will handle the case. Down in the kitchen, he drank the tea which she gave him. Overwrought as he was, overwrought means very tired. Overwrought as he was, he knew he could not snatch even an hour's sleep if he went home. Now he took a cup of tea in the kitchen, but as he was very much tired, now he thought that if he would go back to home, he would not be able to sleep even for 1 hour. He knew too that the case here would demand all his attention. A queer lethargy means laziness of spirit, came upon him. He decided to remain until everything was over. Also, he thought that the case demanded his presence, his all attention here. So, he thought if he would go back, he will not be able to come back very soon. So, he decided he would remain there until everything was over. An hour later, he went upstairs again, noted the progress made, came down once more, sat by the kitchen fire. After an hour again he went upstairs, but he noted the progress, but again he came back because still it was not a time for the baby birth, for the childbirth. So again he sat by kitchen fire. It was still except for the rustle of a cinder in the grate and the slow tick-tock of the wall clock. This line shows that there was silence in the house, only they could hear the sound of wall clock. It was a tick-tock sound, and also there was a sound of rustling of the cinder, that was the sound of fire in grate. No, there was another sound, the beat of Morgan's footsteps as he paced in the street outside. Yes, but now again he said there was one more sound. That was the sound of the footsteps of Morgan. As he was pacing, he was walking in the street outside. The old woman opposite him sat in her black dress, quite motionless, her eyes strangely alive and wise, probing, never leaving his face. The woman who was sitting opposite him, the mother of Mrs. Morgan, she was in black dress and she was motionless, but still continuously she was looking at the doctor. His thoughts were heavy, muddled. Muddled means confused. Now, again, the doctor was lost in his own thoughts. He was confused. The episode he had witnessed at Cardiff station still obsessed him morbidly, because the one incident had happened with him, the episode had happened at Cardiff station. It was the incident with his lover Christine. It was disappointing evening with her. Now he was still lost. The thoughts were coming in his mind. He thought of Bramwell, foolishly devoted to a woman who deceived him sordidly. As he was thinking about his fight with Christine, he started thinking of the other persons who were not successful in their marriages. He thought of Bramwell, who was devoted to a woman who deceived him. Deceived means who cheated him. The person was very much devoted to his wife, but the wife had deceived him. Of Edward Page, bound to the shrewish Blodwen. Shrewish means very clever. And also he thinks about Edward Page, who was also bound to a very clever woman. The name of the woman was Blodwen. Of Danny, living unhappily apart from his wife. Then he starts thinking of Danny, and he was also living. He was also living alone, and he was living separately from his wife. His reason told him that all these marriages were dismal failures. Now he was feeling that there were the reasons, because of these reasons their marriages were not successful. They were failures in their married life. It was a conclusion which in his present state made him wince. Because of all these reasons he was becoming very much upset. He was still confused. He wished to consider marriage as an idyllic state. Yes, he could not otherwise consider it with the image of Christine before him. But he tried to relate these marriages with Christine, but he was feeling that these marriages are not considered successful, and he could not relate them with the Christine, because her eyes shining towards him admitted no other conclusion. Because as he thought about Christine, he felt that he often became happy whenever he would see the eyes of Christine as they shone towards him. It was the conflict between his level, doubting mind and his overflowing heart which left him resentful and confused. Because there was confliction between his level, there was confliction in his mind because he was thinking about the failures of the marriages, and also he was thinking the cheerful face of Christine, which was not matching. So that's why he was very much confused. He let his chin sink upon his chest, stretched out his legs, stared broodingly into the fire. Then he put his chin upon his chest and he stretched out, he pulled his legs out, and then he started looking at into the fire. Broodingly means thoughtfully. He started looking into the fire thoughtfully. He was thinking about Christine. He remained like this so long, and his thoughts were so filled with Christine that he started when the old woman opposite suddenly addressed him. Her meditation had pursued a different course. He was continuously thinking about Christine, but as he was addressed by the woman who was sitting opposite him, her meditation had pursued a different course. Suzanne said not to give her the chloroform if it would harm the baby. Chloroform means anesthesia to make her unconscious. Now she started talking about Mrs. Morgan, Suzanne, about her daughter, that she had said that not to give her chloroform if it would harm the baby. She is awful set upon this child, Dr. Batch. Her old eyes warmed at a sudden thought. She added in a low tone, "Ah, we all are, I fancy." I fancy means I imagine. Now she said here that her daughter Suzanne, Mrs. Morgan, had told not to give her chloroform if it would harm the baby. And then she said that she is very much caring about the baby. She is very much, she is invested upon the baby. But still, uh, at the same time, uh, she cleared her language that already she had spoken. The words she had already spoken. She said that we all are means the all the ladies are very much caring for their children. He collected himself with an effort. He collected himself means now he was still in thoughts. He was thinking about Christine, but after the woman started talking about her daughter, he collected himself with an effort. It won't do any harm, the anesthetic, he said kindly, they will be all right. But now doctor said that the anesthetic, the anesthesia injection would not harm the baby or the mother. They both will be all right. Here the nurse's voice was heard calling from the top landing. Andrew glanced at the clock, which now showed 3:30. He rose and went up to the bedroom. He perceived that he might now begin his work. Now the voice of the nurse was heard from, she was calling them. She was calling from the top landing. And now Andrew glanced, he looked at the clock and it was now 3:30. And now then he went to the bedroom, and also he thought that now the time has come, the time of childbirth has come, and he must begin his work. An hour elapsed. Elapsed means passed. It was a long, harsh struggle. Then, as the first streaks of dawn strayed past the broken edges of the blind means curtain, the child was born lifeless. Now there was the birth of the child, as there was the dawn of the day, starting of the day, and the sun rays was coming out of the windows, out of the curtains. The child was born, but still the child was lifeless. Lifeless means the child was not moving. He was still. He was cold. As he gazed at the still form, a shiver of horror passed over Andrew. But as he looked at the child, that the child was still, he was in horror. There was a shiver of horror. After all that he had promised, his face, heated with his own exertions, chilled suddenly. Already his face was hitting with own exertions as he was very much tired. He was thinking about Christine, but now still after he saw the child, that the child was still, he himself chilled suddenly. He hesitated, torn between his desire to attempt to resuscitate the child. Resuscitate means revive the child, and his obligation towards the mother, who was herself in a desperate state. Now he was here in dilemma. Now he was confused whether he should revive the child, or he should perform his duties towards mother, as she was also in desperate state. She was also unconscious. The dilemma was so urgent he did not solve it consciously. Blindly, instinctively, he gave the child to the nurse and turned his attention to Suzanne Morgan, who now lay collapsed, almost pulseless and not yet out of ether, upon her side. But now he was still not thinking, he was not able to think what he should do, but at once he decided. He gave the child to the nurse and he started uh, treating Suzanne Morgan, the mother of the child. His haste was desperate, a frantic race against her ebbing strength. It took him only an instant to smash a glass ampule and inject the medicine. Ampule means injection. Now, within a moment, he broke a glass ampule and injected the medicine into the woman. Then he flung down the hypodermic syringe and worked unsparingly to restore the flaccid woman. Then he started working continuously without wasting a fraction of a second, without wasting a time. He treated the woman. He tried to restore the flaccid woman, the woman who was unconscious. After a few minutes of feverish effort, her heart strengthened. He saw that he might safely leave her. He swung round in his shirt sleeves, his hair sticking to his damp brow. Now, after a few minutes, he found that her heart strengthened, means now the woman was becoming conscious. He now thought that he might safely leave her. Now he thought that he would be able to leave the woman now, as he could also be seen that his shirt sleeves, his hair was sticking to his damp brow as he was sweating after so much hard work. Where is the child? The midwife made a frightened gesture. She had placed it beneath the bed. But now, as he left the woman, at once he asked for the child. But the midwife, she was very much frightened. She gave a gesture, and as she had placed it beneath the under the bed, as she had thought that the child is lifeless, so there is no use of that there is no chances to save the child. In a flash, Andrew knelt down. Fishing amongst the sodden newspapers below the bed, he pulled out the child. But within a second, within a moment, Andrew knelt down, he bent down, and he pulled out the child. A boy perfectly formed. It was a baby boy, and he was perfectly formed. The limp, warm body was, limp means loose. The limp, warm body was white and soft as tallow. Tallow means the hard fat of animals, melted and used to make soap, candle, etc. Means his body was hard, just like fat of animals. The cord, hastily slashed, lay like a broken stem. The skin was of lovely texture, smooth and tender. The head lolled on the thin neck. The limbs seemed boneless. Now he found the baby. He took the baby from under the bed, and he found that his body was very loose, and it seemed that his limbs are boneless, but the texture of the body was very smooth. It was tender, and his head was hanging on the thin neck. So, students, this is enough for the day. The remaining part of the chapter we will do in the next session. Till then, goodbye and have a nice day.